In the summer of 2025, Las Vegas lost what it couldn't afford to lose: its Canadians. Visitor numbers plunged by 11%, hotel occupancy crashed nearly 15%, and border traffic from Canada fell off a cliff. Car returns down 38%, air travel even steeper. The silence on the Strip isn't just about high prices or a weak dollar. It's the result of tariffs, political backlash, and a wave of Canadians deciding, en masse, that Vegas isn't worth it anymore. The question isn't just why Canadians stopped coming. It's how their absence threatens to unravel the entire city's economy. What forced the closest neighbors in tourism to slam the brakes, and who pays the price now? May 2025. At border crossings from Windsor to Vancouver, Canadian license plates all but vanished. The numbers are brutal. Statistics Canada reported a 38.1% drop in Canadian resident car returns from the US compared to a year earlier. That's not a blip. That's tens of thousands of missing vehicles every week. Highways running emptier than anyone expected at the start of the summer. The slide didn't stop there. In June, the decline clocked in at 33.1%, the sixth straight month of falling traffic. By July, car-based returns had crashed again, down nearly 37%. Each percentage point isn't just a statistic. It's a canceled hotel block, an empty booth at the buffet, a blackjack table sitting cold on a Thursday night. Cars matter here. For Canadians heading to Vegas or anywhere in the US, road trips are the backbone of cross-border travel. Families pile into minivans. Retirees hitch up trailers. Friends split gas for a long drive south. When car crossings collapse by a third or more, it's not just a few cautious travelers staying home. It's a mass retreat. Air travel numbers fell too, but the road exodus hits hardest because it represents the bulk of leisure movement. The ripple spreads fast. Fewer arrivals mean fewer hotel check-ins, fewer show tickets sold, fewer hands dealt in the casino pits. The absence is visible in the data and on the ground. Border agents report shorter lines. Duty-free shops cut hours. In border towns, gas stations and convenience stores that once counted on Canadian traffic now face empty lots. The drop isn't isolated to one region. Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, the prairies, all show the same pattern. The volume of missing vehicles is so large that even US analysts flagged it as a warning sign for the entire hospitality sector. When Canadian cars stop rolling south, the effect echoes from rural border posts to the center of the Strip. This isn't just about a weak weekend or a rainy month. 6 months of relentless decline, with numbers hovering around a third below normal, signals a deeper freeze. The highways are open, but the travelers aren't coming. And for Las Vegas, every empty lane at the border means another empty room, another lost tip, another day waiting for the Canadians who, for now, have simply stopped showing up. Tariff threats didn't just rattle economists, they hit home for travelers. In early 2025, a national poll found that 3 out of 4 Canadians who had been planning US trips said the new tariffs and political back and forth made them reconsider. That's not idle talk. More than half, 56%, actually changed their plans, picking different destinations. The numbers tell one side of the story, but the mood on the ground was even sharper. In Ontario, the Martins had booked a June Vegas getaway. They canceled within days of the tariff announcement. It's not just about money anymore, they said. It's about principle. Their story wasn't unique. Travel agencies and booking platforms reported a sudden collapse in US reservations. One major firm saw up to 90% fewer new bookings for American destinations compared to the previous year. The phones stopped ringing. The usual spring rush for summer Vegas deals simply didn't come. Social media feeds filled with hashtags like #BuyCanadian and #TravelCanada. In forums and comment sections, the conversation turned from bargains to values. People shared stories of canceled trips, swapped tips for Canadian getaways, and debated whether crossing the border now amounted to supporting policies they opposed. Industry insiders watched the fallout in real time. One longtime agent said, "We used to book Vegas packages every day. Now it's crickets. People are angry, not just broke." The emotional backlash was clear. This wasn't only about exchange rates or inflated resort fees. It was about dignity and solidarity, about not wanting to reward what many saw as unfriendly moves from the U.S. side. The result was a mass turning away, driven as much by feeling as by finance. For Las Vegas, the message from Canada was unmistakable: until something changes, the party's off. The numbers are cold, but the losses are personal. For every Canadian who stayed home, Las Vegas lost more than just a body in a hotel bed. It lost a spender, a tipper, a showgoer, a familiar face at the tables. The U.S. Travel Association ran the math. A 10% drop in Canadian visits means 2 million fewer trips, over $2 billion in lost spending, and 14,000 jobs hanging by a thread. That's not some far-off forecast. That's happening now, and the pain is spreading fast. North Dakota, a state that usually counts on Canadian day trippers to fill gas tanks and restaurant booths, reported $14.4 million vanished from its economy in just the first half of 2025. The effect doesn't stop at the border. In Las Vegas, hotel occupancy in early July hit 66.7%, the lowest in years. Strip resorts lost an estimated 150,000 to 200,000 room nights in the first half of the year, a void that can't be filled by a handful of last-minute deals. The fallout isn't limited to big casinos or luxury hotels. Independent restaurants near the Strip saw revenues crash by nearly a quarter. Tour operators running buses to the Grand Canyon or helicopter rides over the city found their bookings slashed in half. Gift shops, retail stores, cab companies, every corner of the hospitality web is feeling the pinch. Citywide, transactional tax data tells the same story. Business is down, and for many, survival is not guaranteed. Behind every lost million, there's a ripple. Servers with their hours cut, bartenders on call, small business owners staring at empty tables. The mayor has gone public pleading for Canadians to come back. But until then, the macro losses aren't just numbers. They're real jobs, real families, and a city recalibrating what it means to be the world's playground. A Vegas vacation used to be a brag-worthy bargain for Canadian families. Now, it's a math problem that ends in sticker shock. The Canadian dollar sits at 1.37 to the U.S. greenback. That means a $50 U.S. resort fee, a charge that's often unavoidable on the Strip, lands as $68.50 once the bank's done with you. A single $22 cocktail? That's over $30 Canadian before tip. Multiply that across 3 days, and even a modest trip balloons into something that feels out of reach for the average household. The pain isn't just in the headline prices. It's in the surcharges and add-ons, parking, Wi-Fi, pool access, that pile up after you've already committed. What looked like a $199 hotel deal online quietly morphs into $320 by the time the credit card bill arrives. Social media is full of Canadians venting about these hidden charges, with hashtags like #ResortFeeRipoff trending in travel forums. One viral post breaks it down. "We budgeted $3,000 for Vegas. By the time we saw the final bill, it was $5,400. Never again." Inflation on both sides of the border only adds to the squeeze. Groceries, gas, and flights are all up. But it's the Vegas extras, the $12 ATM fees, the $7 bottles of water, the $45 Uber from the airport, that push many over the edge. For a family of 4, the difference between a fun getaway and a financial regret is now just a handful of receipts. Even those who could once shrug off the exchange rate are pausing. The value proposition that kept Canadians coming back year after year has evaporated. Every dollar feels like a dare. Industry insiders admit the cost barrier is real. Resort executives have started pitching Canadian value packages and dropping some fees, but the damage is done. For thousands of would-be travelers, the numbers just don't add up. The Vegas experience, once a playground for middle-class Canadians, has priced itself out of their reach, at least for now. Airline schedules don't lie. By July 2025, flights from Canada to Las Vegas were down about 18% compared to the year before. Air Canada slashed its Vegas arrivals by a third, WestJet by nearly as much, and Flair Airlines, once a favorite for budget travelers, cut passenger volume by more than half. The empty seats told their own story. Demand had cratered, and the airlines simply stopped sending as many planes south. For the first time in years, Las Vegas Airport's International Arrivals Board showed more gaps than growth. Resorts and casinos, staring at falling numbers, didn't sit idle. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority poured millions into new campaigns targeting Canadians, rolling out glossy ads and promising Vegas-wide sales. Caesars offered a $300 getaway bundle, 2 nights, a pile of food credits, and waived resort fees. Resorts World killed its parking charges. Even the Sphere, the city's newest showpiece, dangled ticket discounts for Canadian passport holders. Steve Hill, the LVCVA's CEO, summed up the mood. "A portion of our friends in Canada are not happy with us right now. We want them to come back, but we understand they may not be ready to do that." But the incentives kept coming. Hotels quietly called up old Canadian guests with exclusive deals. Casino hosts offered free upgrades and bonus chips. Digital ad buys doubled. All of it aimed at flipping the script, trying to turn a cold shoulder into a warm welcome, at least on paper. Still, the numbers barely budged. Redemption rates for these offers hovered in the single digits. Industry insiders admitted privately that marketing alone couldn't patch over months of bruised sentiment and sticker shock. The city's outreach was loud, but the response from Canada was muted. For now, the empty seats and unused hotel blocks kept piling up, and the marketing blitz looked more like a white flag than a comeback. Hashtags started popping up everywhere. Hashtag Buy Canadian, hashtag Travel Canada, hashtag Stay Home, each one a digital banner carried by thousands. By July, hashtag Buy Canadian alone showed up in over 140,000 posts, a jump of nearly 400% since February. It wasn't just noise. On Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, Canadian influencers swapped out Vegas pool shots for Lake Louise, sunsets, and East Coast lobster rolls. A single TikTok explaining why a family skipped Vegas for Banff racked up over 1 million views. Comments poured in. "Why pay $30 for a drink and get attitude at the border? I'd rather support home." In travel forums, the vibe shifted fast. Reddit threads that once swapped tips on getting free upgrades at the Bellagio now debated the ethics of crossing the border at all. One poll in a major Facebook group asked, "Are you still considering a US vacation this year?" Most replies were blunt. Not a chance. The top voted answers linked to Canadian resort deals, with users tagging friends and adding, "Let's keep our dollars here." This wasn't just a few angry posts. Forum trackers logged a 4-fold increase in threads where Canadians explained their cancellations or asked for alternatives to the US. Instead of advice on finding the cheapest Vegas flight, people traded stories about hidden fees, border hassles, and the feeling of being unwelcome. The message spread. Travel was now about more than cost or convenience. It was about solidarity, pride, and sending a message with your wallet. Domestic travel bookings surged, up over 7% in April alone, as more Canadians chose to explore their own backyard. The boycott had gone viral, and it was reshaping not just plans but the culture of Canadian travel itself. Tip jars sit half empty on bar counters that used to overflow by midnight. For Las Vegas hospitality workers, the Canadian drought isn't a headline. It's a pay cut that lands every shift. Bartenders, cocktail servers, bellmen, blackjack dealers. Anyone who counted on a steady stream of generous, familiar Canadian regulars now faces a reality where tips have dropped by half or more. One veteran bartender lays it out. What good are tax-free tips if there's nobody around to do the tipping? The numbers back him up. Union surveys show frontline staff, from casino floors to hotel lounges, watching their weekly take-home drop below $400. 3 double shifts canceled in a single week isn't an exception anymore. It's the new normal. The pain doesn't stop at the bar. Small business owners, restaurateurs, tour guides, gift shop clerks describe a summer of empty tables and silent phones. Some report revenues down 30 to 50% compared to last year. Tour operators who once ran buses packed with Canadians to the Grand Canyon now struggle to fill a single vehicle. One restaurant owner near the Strip says, "We're seeing loyal regulars come less often. Some businesses are on their last legs." Even local cab companies and rideshare drivers, who used to count on airport runs for Canadian arrivals, are logging fewer fares and longer waits between calls. The shockwaves reach into real estate. Canadian investors, who once snapped up condos and vacation homes, are pulling back. A longtime Las Vegas realtor tells the story of a client who, after years of owning 4 homes in the city, is now selling them all. He just doesn't see Vegas as a good place to vacation or invest anymore. For these workers and investors, the absence isn't abstract. It's a shrinking paycheck, a for sale sign, and the slow unraveling of a livelihood built on the steady beat of Canadian footsteps through the city. Every empty seat, every canceled tour, every unsold home is a reminder. When the visitors stop coming, the city feels it in every pocket and every plan. In June 2025, Las Vegas saw tourist numbers drop by 11.3% compared to the previous year, with international arrivals down 13%. Canadian visits, once nearly 1.5 million a year, have collapsed. Airline seats from Canada fell 18.5%, and road entries dropped over 35% for 6 straight months. Economic fallout is clear. The U.S. Travel Association estimates a $2.1 billion loss and up to 14,000 jobs at risk from the Canadian pullback. Resort fees, exchange rates, and political tensions have all played a part, while Canadian domestic travel and trips to Mexico have surged. What remains uncertain is how long this rupture will last, and whether marketing or policy shifts can restore trust. The evidence shows that when sentiment and affordability shift, even Las Vegas, built on hospitality, can feel empty. The city's fortunes and its relationship with Canada now depend on choices far beyond the gaming floor.